I love this show is I get to meet Ghanaians who are ingenious, Ghanaians that are creative, Ghanaians that are doing things that are mind-boggling, man. And I met this gentleman, man, and after I got to find out what he does, I was nothing but totally impressed, you know. I've had Ghanaians going into design, they make shoes, they make their clothes, they make beautiful things. It's the first time I had encountered a Ghanaian who is actually into watchmaking, man. And I'm talking about quality watches. This guy is amazing. Before I introduce you, I want you to take a short, a second or so, and take a look at some of the amazing clocks and watches that he has put together. Coming from the hands of a Ghanaian man. Put your hands together. Join me. Welcome the great man, Anthony Mensah. Anthony, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Man, I am so proud of you. I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
Like I said, I've seen, and Ghanaians do stuff, we have so many creative people in Ghana, but you're the first one I've encountered that is into a totally, creating watches.
Yeah.
Wow. And from what I'm hearing, it's not like you have always been into watches, man. This was a recent development?
Yeah, quite recent. Like, I think 4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, before that, I never really liked watches. I never got a concept of watches until I got into watches and I found the whole thing very fascinating. And
how did you all of a sudden just get into watches?
I just wanted to buy a wristwatch. Because I had a watch that was not even working but I used to wear it anyways. Then one time I wanted to buy a watch that I couldn't afford. And I was like, I kept begging for discounts and they wouldn't give me the watch for what I had. So I went online. I think that was one of these online shops. Yeah. I bought a watch for 50 cedis. So when I saw the watch, I was like, oh, it's not bad. Took a picture of it. And a couple of friends were like, oh, nice watch, I like it. How much is it? And I said, and I mentioned a little higher price.
A little higher,
so somebody came forth and bought the watch. So when I saw the profit I made on the watch, I was like, wow. My lights just went. I started calculating the profit. Like, what if I sold 2? What if I sold 3? What if I sold 4? Then I got curious and so I started selling watches. And
so you were ordering them online and then selling them?
Yeah. I was ordering them online and selling them, and I got curious. I went deeper into the whole concept of watches. Started breaking watches apart, breaking things apart to know, how these things work. That was the beginning of everything, but then it went somewhere else.
Wow. Now, what I find fascinating is that many times when I'm talking to people who are doing things, they'll tell you about how in their childhood they started getting interested in this or that, and how they always knew that, But yours was not like that. It was sudden.
Yeah, it was quite sudden. But
and before you were doing watches, what were you doing? You were.
Before I was doing watches, I was working at a hotel.
Okay.
I worked in a hotel. I was at the airport at a point. You know those guys who hold the placards?
Oh, you hold the placard?
Yeah, I was holding the placard.
I think I saw you somewhere.
Those guys who hold the placard with the hotel name.
With a name.
Yeah. So I was there for like a year.
Wow.
And then all the time I was just thinking what next from here? Where do we go on from here? So the whole time I was reading books, trying to figure a way out of that situation.
So you just watching with something you just stumbled onto?
Yeah. All I wanted was to buy a watch that I couldn't afford. So then I sat down and I thought that, okay, maybe there are lots of people like me, just an average guy who doesn't need to break the bank to get a watch. But why are watches so expensive? What about people like me? Can we go and afford watches that we like?
Yeah.
So why not solve that problem for the youth, people like me, who are not millionaires, but we need a watch? So I tried to merge durability of watches with price. If I could bridge that, it doesn't have to be extremely expensive to be durable and beautiful. So these were the things I had to put together to build something for people like me. And eventually it would target the premium people.
So you make all these watches? You saw a whole lot in the beginning?
Yeah.
It
was always one step to get to the other. So when I started selling watches, I had to do that to know more about watches, to know what people look out for in watches, what makes this watch more quality than the other.
So what did you do? How were you researching watches? What were you practically?
The beginning was that I started breaking the watches apart to learn about the mechanisms. And I was like, I never knew physics would catch up with me again. I used to be a science student and I left that behind somewhere. But I never knew I would come back to that technicality of...
so what did you notice that brought the light on that, wow, let me get more into this? What were you, when you broke the watches down, what was exciting you about it?
What I used to wonder at a point was I could understand the concept behind battery-powered watches, the quartz watches. That, yeah, there's a battery in there, that makes the watch work. But what about watches that don't have batteries in them? So I keep thinking, how do these watches work then? They don't have battery. What fuels them? That's where my curiosity started from. So I started, I enrolled into some horology courses online to learn about watchmaking at a point, yeah. When I said that, people were like, what's horology? Like, driving a thing. But yeah, I studied watchmaking online and videos here and there. Then I started by making watch leather straps. Okay, there were a couple of people who have good watches but bad leather straps. So they don't need to buy a new watch, they can just change their leather straps. So I went to Cantamanto, where the shoemakers are. I spent about 2 months there. I would go every morning, come back in the evening. I made friends with the shoemakers. I was an apprentice to the shoemakers, and just to learn how to sew leather, learn how leather behaves, what makes this leather harder than that, just to learn about leather and how to treat and handle leather. Then I started making the watch straps, and I called them the caveman straps. So,
Caveman is your brand?
Caveman is the brand.
For the straps or for the watches as well?
For my horology business.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Caveman brand has 3 categories: the watch leather straps, the wrist watches themselves, and then the clocks that I make. So the dream had always been to establish a horology institution here, which has never really been here. We don't have any recognized watchmaker in Ghana, you know. So the dream has been to create a watch brand, eventually start teaching people, you know, how to make watches. Then we can supply the global market. Yeah.
So the watches that you make, what are you importing the parts and you assemble them? And what is the strategy behind your watchmaking?
The wrist watches, you mean?
Yeah, the wrist watches.
Yeah, I sketch from scratch, design what I want in my watches. The design is sent to the factories and then manufacturing begins. So apart from the wooden clocks and the leather straps, which are locally made, the wrist watches are assembled in Switzerland.
Okay, but by your design?
My design, sketched and designed by me and assembled in Switzerland. But the wooden watches and the leather straps are manufactured locally. Here. Yeah, that I have my hand in the, in the process.
Okay.
Apart from design, I design and I have my hand in the process.
And so what? Where's your shop anyway? People come there and they look for things, or they tell you what they want and then you design for them. How does it work?
Okay, my shop is on the Ajingano Road, Timepiece GH. We're on the Ajingano Road. The watches, the Caveman brand is yet to be launched. We are bringing the brand out officially this year. We've not launched it. So even though the watches are, ready, people keep asking, can I buy one? Can I make a deposit? I'm like, no, just wait. The right time will come. So we have a whole system to it to officially launch the brand before we start selling them. But my shop, Timepiece GH, we sell different brands of watches, a wide variety of watches. So all the brands you can know, you can talk about.
What about the wooden ones that you make?
Yeah, the wooden ones that I make, the whole idea was to, I used to just go to people's companies and I look around their receptions, they don't have a proper clock in here. Custom made for
This one?
Yeah, I made this myself.
And
One
this is
of my
made out
favorites.
of what?
It's made out of cheetah skin.
Cheetah.
Yeah.
Where do you get the cheetah from?
I import.
So you go to.
I import
Oh, you import.
leather pieces from Italy, and sometimes from Kumasi, the shoemakers. There's this place they get leather from. But apart from that, for very exotic animal skins, I import from Italy. Yeah. I try to make them very rare as possible, so you don't have anybody wearing the same thing you have on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So these are all handmade?
Handmade. The whole concept of the caveman, the whole concept is to build things from scratch with hand, like the cavemen did of old, with undiluted quality. Now everything is being tainted by technology, if I should put it that way. But I'm trying to preserve nature's touch in my work. That's the whole concept of caveman. So the originality and the durability of my work, that I don't compromise. Yeah.
Quick question coming to you're about to launch it.
Yep.
You're launching the Caveman.
Caveman brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a Ghanaian brand.
A Ghanaian brand on a global
for the
market.
for the global market.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking at all these, like the straps, you know, the cheetah, all these sophisticated things, handmade.
Handmade.
Do you see a disruption? Like, you know how somebody can go to China with something similar and then the next day is like millions on the market? How do you envisage competing against that kind of mass production thing and still standing your ground?
Yeah. I mean, competition would always come, but if you know what you are about, the value of what you're manufacturing cannot be duplicated. That's what I say. And I have very quality experience in watches and what I want to manufacture. We've sorted out our copyright and trademark and everything, well registered. We have a very solid team, a legal team and everything in place. So I don't really think about those things, but I think competition is good for every business to be able to, you know, keep your game up and always deliver your best. So I haven't really thought about that, but I think we are sorted out. Legally, we are okay, and then our quality is always top notch. And
fantastic,
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we have millions of people watching, and there could be some investors who will be very impressed with what they've seen so far and might want to go a step further. How do they reach you? And
quality partnership is always good for businesses, yeah, I mean, always. So my number is 054-118-5114, and you can follow us social media, Timepiece GH, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, Twitter. Yeah, Timepiece GH, or just log on www.timepiecegh.com. You can find everything about me on there and what I do.
Fantastic, fantastic. What do you do for fun, man? When you're not
Watches.
When you're,
Yeah, it almost became like an obsession. You know? I could just look at watches and get lost into the whole movement. So people normally don't get it. Sometimes I get a new watch that I'm still fascinated about, and when I'm going to bed, I have the watch on my bed. I wake up and the first thing I do is reach out for the watch.
Really?
And I'm looking at this watch like, that's how it goes.
Well, Anthony, congrats, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very gratifying to see a young Ghanaian man, you know, leave his job to enter into something that he has a passion for.
Yeah.
And this is like also solid, you know. And the woodwork, I think the woodwork will really add to your global dimension, you know, because that's uniquely Ghanaian.
Yeah.
When do you anticipate launching it?
We're going to launch in December.
Okay.
Yeah, we can put the date out now for some reasons, but it will be launched by the end of this year in December, hopefully. From then, we can officially commence sales of these watches on a global market. We've taken some online marketing, selling platforms, the Amazons and the others, yeah.
I see.
So we have agents in the USA, in the UK, in Switzerland, and other countries to get a watch brand out there.
Caveman.
Caveman.
Put your hands together, man. Put your hands together, and congrats, man. I really wish you all the best, man.
Thank you so much.
And I see great things happening for Caveman.
Thank you so much. I always say the caveman will be remembered.
The Caveman will be remembered.
Remembered.
Okay. Stick around, folks. The Caveman will be remembered.
Yes.
We shall be right back.
KSM Show.